Ah. So technology is absolutely wonderful when it works, right? So again, my name is Kim Ware, and I get to be your instructor for this course. And I'm just so excited to be here with you. And I hope that you will enjoy what I'm about to share with you and really look forward to the class. So I'm going to cover course expectations first, and then I'm going to get into some of the nitty gritty of what exactly critical thinking is and define it for you. And I think it will give you a really nice springboard for jumping into the class rather than just jumping in to the reading. And if you've already started the reading, hopefully this will continue to give you a stronger foundation. So first of all, let's just go over how to navigate the course. So the best place to go is to our course homepage, and I've taken a screenshot of the first week. You can access Yellow Dig from this screen. You can also click on this link. Anything that says read in front of it is going to go to Vital Source, which is like your digital library with all of the books that you own as a student, and that will open up the specific chapter that you need. From Vital Source, you can also move around the textbook and see different things. Next, you'll see the different things to complete. So week 1, we're completing Learn It 1, and we're also doing Assignment 1. So each week you can look at the course homepage to see all the things that you need to do and to access them. But more than that, something I rely heavily on are the announcements. So here's a look at what you see today in the announcements. So I've got all the starting information, the late policy, how to access a student virtual study room, which is a great idea. I've had some classes where students like become friends over Yellow Dig, and they decide to meet at a certain time on a certain day to go over the course material and work on their assignments together. That is awesome. It's great networking. It's great communication skill building. Just don't turn in the same paper. Make sure that you write your own work. But also something I've done, each week you'll get a weekly to-do list, and that is a condensing of what you see on the homepage of things that you need to do. Sometimes I think it's a little overwhelming to look at the homepage, but this weekly to-do list is very short and sweet visual of what needs to be done. I don't like to post announcements that are just busy work announcements, so I'll never do that. One of the best things I think that I do is provide mini lessons. So I've already provided one mini lesson for you, less than 5 minutes, talking about just best practices for short answer writing. Next week, I'm going to post a mini lesson on 2 major types of reasoning, inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. We use those in critical thinking, and it just kind of takes like this laser focus on some of these concepts that you're working on in the course to flesh them out just a little bit better for you. And it's also really helpful because this is a general education class, which means it's a prereq. Everybody in every college has to take prereqs to get to the main deal. So as part of being a prereq, we don't have regular live class sessions. We're not meeting once a week and actually interfacing with each other. So the mini lessons is another way for me to make sure that I'm giving you the best quality instruction possible. Do you have any question about the course homepage or just communicating with me? Okay, good. So now the course outlook. So the overall calendar is that your Learn-Its are going to be due on Saturdays. The Learn-Its for general education courses are set at a higher level than your regular program Learn-Its. So be prepared. In any gen ed course, your Learn-Its are going to take you a little bit longer than they'll take you with your other program related courses. Something I recommend doing with your Learn-Its is taking notes. There is something really awesome that happens in your brain when you make a head-eye connection and you write stuff down. It helps solidify it in your memory, but also when you're going through and you're seeing the blank or the multiple choice questions for the Learn-Its, instead of having to like look back in your brain and be like, wait, what was that answer? I know it was something like this. Sometimes they're like synonyms and you can't quite remember. But if you already have the answer written down in a notebook, you can look down and be like, oh yeah, the answer is inductive reasoning versus deductive reasoning. And then you can just write it down, and it makes them go faster in the face of them being at a higher set level. Does that make sense to you? Good. Thank you. Thank you for the nonverbals. I appreciate it so much. Okay, then we have assignments. Assignments take about 2 weeks to do. So assignment 1 is a little bit different. You don't have 2 weeks to do that one. But after that, you'll see it says begin assignment 2. Then the next week you're finishing assignment 2, beginning assignment 3, finishing assignment 3. So you have about 2 weeks to work on these assignments. So I encourage you, don't wait to the last minute to do your assignments. Make sure you're getting a preview and you have a working knowledge of what's coming up and that you need to get done, so you're not cramming at the last minute. No, I do understand. I'm the kind of person, I work really well under pressure, hence spending the whole day putting together this class. But it's awesome. I think you're gonna love it. And I feel really good about it. So just make sure you know what's coming. Let me see here. So now let's just talk about Yellow Dig. Yellow Dig is something you should turn your attention to on Wednesdays if you haven't already done it at the beginning of the week. And I like to post really fun Yellow Dig prompts so that you aren't having to search endlessly for videos to post or articles to post. But no, we're just going to get right in there and you're going to get to give your opinion and make correlations between course content and your real life, your professional life, and your personal life. Because it can kind of seem like an out there thing if you aren't really digging in and making real life connections. And I want this to feel necessary for you. And I want you to see the utility of the course. Any questions about the course outlook? Okay, good. So let's talk about assignment expectations. I want you to ask questions. Please ask me questions. If you do not understand something, I am here to help you understand it. I have gone ahead of you and I have additional schooling, and maybe one day you'll be ahead of me and I'll be asking you the questions. But as I am the instructor, please ask me questions if you don't understand anything, or I mean, you'll understand everything, I'm sure. But if there's something you don't understand, please ask me questions. In particular, if you don't understand something and you just make something up, I request that you don't do that. It's easy to Google stuff and think you have the right answer, but I know when you Google things and that it's the wrong answer. So we can just cut out all that extra time of you trying to search for the answer, me trying to figure out what you're actually saying, when you could just ask me and I could tell you. So ask questions. Next is just write the best that you can. This course is a little bit writing intensive. Some of you have had English already, and some of you have not taken your English course at Bryan. So I'm not ever going to judge your assignment based on the quality or your talent in writing. What I'm looking for is your ability to use the concepts, state the definitions of the concepts, and apply an example. So those are the 3 things that I'm looking for. And again, as with Learn It, take notes. As you are reading the textbook or listening to the textbook, take notes. You can do that in a variety of ways, whatever works for you, but that note taking is so important to making the information accessible to you. Something I've been doing recently is I've been re-listening to all of the textbooks through VitalSource. It is a little clunky because it's like robotic. It's not an actual narrator reading, but I have really enjoyed the process of just listening again to the text while I'm doing dishes or folding laundry or walking the dog. And then in your actual, if you're doing it from your phone, you can actually look at it and you're like, oh, I really like that. And you can highlight it in VitalSource and it will save it for you when you can go back and find it. Finally, please resubmit for mastery. Bryan University is awesome because you can absolutely graduate with a 4.0. There's no reason why you can't, because you can resubmit for mastery in every single course. So if you get a couple points off, resubmit. I give you very specific feedback. I'll tell you exactly what you did that needs to be fixed and how you can fix it, and then resubmit it. Take that extra time, get that A. Any questions about assignment expectations? No? Okay, good. So we've talked about Yellow Dig a little bit, but here's our Yellow Dig screen. This is week 1. Yellow Dig is really important because it is an opportunity for you to talk with other students. In an online forum, you can feel super disengaged and you can feel like you're an island. And that's not what we want, especially in this course where we don't get to see each other every week. Let's get on Yellow Dig and interface that way. Amanda and Linda, do you have any feelings about Yellow Dig? Do you love it? Do you love to hate it? What are your thoughts?
I didn't like it like when I first started. But now I like it because you don't feel so alone, and sometimes people make like comments that you were thinking the same thing. So it's nice in that way.
Yeah, that affirmation is really great. Do you have anything to add, Linda?
No, I just wanted to say the same thing and like piggyback off of Amanda. At the beginning, it was really weird for me to join, and it's like, okay, what do I talk about? It was easier for me if I had like a subject that the instructor maybe, gave us. But if we just had to like post, it was really hard for me. And I was like trying really hard to get those, Yellow Dig points at the beginning. But now it's easier. Even like if I have a question, I'll ask it. And my classmates are pretty good about, helping me out or guiding me on where to find the answer. So
I love
I like
that.
it.
Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
The teamwork and the camaraderie that you build is really great. And I think it's neat to see students in other classes that you've had in one class and then get to see them in a different context. I think that's really great too. So you
It's
might
nice
have,
if you get to see them again in other classes too,
yes,
so that you
yes,
feel more comfortable. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, and you might be surprised years down the road if you end up actually working with someone you did class with at Bryan or doing life with them. It's 100% possible. So good for you all. I'm really glad that you're engaged that way. When it comes to grading for Yellow Dig, grading is done on sort of a sliding scale, the way that it calibrates. So you may have already seen your grade go up and then go down as it recalibrates, and go up and then go down as it recalibrates. And the good news for you is that don't worry about that. As long as you are getting on there and spending 15 to 20 minutes a week, maybe, and you see you get to that magic place where it says you've maxed out your points for the week, that's what you should be doing, and you will for sure get all of your Yellow Dig credit. Earning as many points as possible is really important because it builds in a buffer for you. So if you have a week where, say, you get sick or you're slammed at work or something else comes up and you can't get on as much, you've built up a nest egg, so to speak, so that you have those extra points, and it will help you still achieve that place of earning all your points for the course. So I've talked a lot about so far what you are supposed to do. Now let's talk about what you should expect from me. And I think that's healthy and I think that's good. You should expect something from me as your instructor. I know one of the things as a student, and even calling businesses, that I want people to do is I want them to respond to me. I want them to answer my questions. And so here are some of the things that you can count on from me. First, Bryan gives us 5 days to grade papers. Generally, though, I never go past 3 days or 72 hours. So you can always expect to see feedback and grading for your assignments within that time frame. The only time I ever slip past that is when I have multiple courses coming to an end at the same time, and I have multiple students submitting more than one assignment at the same time because they waited to do that. So if I get slammed, that's where you'll see a delay, but generally 24 hours. Next, 24 hours to communicate with me. So if you ask me a question, you can count on me getting back to you within a business day. I do try to take Sundays off to rest. And if you don't already have a day off in your busy schedule, I highly recommend that you try to find one or a pocket of a few hours to rest and rejuvenate yourself so that you cannot function from an empty tank. We all need rest at some point. And so Sundays work best for my family. So I try to take that day off. Unless you have an emergency or something super short and quick, if you message me on Saturday afternoon, I'll probably not get back to you until Monday. Does that sound workable? Does that sound fair? Do you have any questions about response time?
That's fine with me.
Okay, Thank you. Thanks for that.
Mhm.
So I believe that gets us finished with the first part of this live event about the course expectations. So we are 17 minutes in. So now let's take a breath and turn our focus to actually talking about critical thinking. So when we think about critical thinking, we see two words, critical and thinking. So I want to focus on what critical thinking is not to begin with. So when you look at the word critical, sometimes we think criticism or negativity, and that's not what critical thinking is. We're not offering constructive criticism in any way. And in fact, offering unwanted criticism could be a conflict trigger for people. And that's not at all what we're trying to do when we're critical thinking. We're also not just offering opinion. This has nothing to do with your likes, your dislikes, your values, your morals, your ethics, nothing to do with your opinion. So if it's not criticism and it's not your opinion, what exactly is critical thinking? Well, critical thinking is all about arguments. Have you thought of critical thinking in terms of an argument at all as you've seen this course yet? Or not? You might just have not thought about it. It's like, well, I'll just figure it out when I get there, and that's okay.
I thought of it more like making the best educated decision in your situation.
Yes, that is on point. Yes, good job, Amanda. Yeah, so critical thinking, when you look at other textbooks and you jump in, sometimes they start talking about arguments straight away. And yes, arguments are a big part of critical thinking. But first, what you're talking about, making an educated decision, is really about careful thinking directed toward a goal. In which case, careful thinking, we're thinking about good reasons for the beliefs that we have, and the why for us believing what we believe, evaluating, making judgments to arrive at a goal or a conclusion about whether or not a claim or a reason is good or bad, true or false. So again, we're getting into careful thinking directed toward a goal. Hello, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. I cannot see your name. Who just joined?
Vashti just joined.
Hi, Vashti. Welcome.
Sorry,
I'm
I
glad you're here.
just checked my phone for messages.
Oh, that's okay. So we are just getting into the nuts and bolts of critical thinking. If you go back on the recording and watch the first few minutes, you'll get the course expectations.
Okay.
Okay, great. So this is a definition of critical thinking. So in all of this are a lot of things that we kind of need to uncover before we continue. So let's do that. So next up, we're going to look at belief. It's really important to define belief before we move on. So a belief is the way in which you structure reality. So think of items that are true or false. So for example, we believe that the sun will come up tomorrow morning. And that is based on the experience that every day we've been alive, the sun has always come up. So that would be true. Another part of our reality might be that seasons come. Is that true? Do we always have a winter? Yes. Do we always have a summer? Yes, because these things have been tested and looked at for hundreds of years. So belief, think of something that is true or false. So then when we talk about claims, if claims are beliefs, they are also declarative statements. They are things that are true or false. So a declarative statement is a fact. Do you remember anything from English? Has anyone taken English and looked at the 4 purposes of a sentence? I'm sensing a no. But I know them because I'm also a homeschool mom and I am deep in elementary grammar. Ask me about 10 years ago and I couldn't tell you either, but I know now. And a declarative statement is one of the four purposes of a sentence, and it's true or false. It's a fact. I have highlighted hair. I change my hair color often. That is true. I love, I don't know. I would tell you something that's false, but then you might figure out what my lie is on Yellow Dig, and we can't have that for a little bit. So think of something that is a declarative statement, a fact that a claim is. Now, claims cannot be questions or commands. So if I said to my child, go empty the dishwasher, that's a command. There's no questioning about that. That's not a true or false, yes or no. It's no, you go empty the dishwasher because I've told you to do that. So that's claims. Claims are synonymous for reasons. Now we can have good claims and we can have bad claims. And when we are doing critical thinking, we are trying to decide if something is good or bad. A good claim has a high probability of truth, and a bad claim has a low probability of truth. So this is where I also just kind of want to mention our book that we're reading. Has anyone started reading the book? Yes. Okay. So making a good claim is that our textbook has good things to offer. It has truths in there about critical thinking that are wonderful. Now, making another claim about our book, there are some things about our book that I don't really care for. And one of those is that one of the books starts out with talking about, paranormal activity. So whether or not paranormal activity actually occurs or doesn't occur, that is not of as much importance as it is the insinuation that we have to look out there into bigger things in life to critically think. And that's not true. We have to critically think about things every single day that are a part of our normal everyday life. So as you're reading through the textbooks, just remember that you are a critical thinker as you're reading the textbook. There are going to be some things that you're going to agree with, and there's going to be some things in the book where you're going to be like, what? I don't agree with that at all. And so that's where I'm saying, keep in mind that we have got good claims and that we have bad claims, and that people write books all the time. And sometimes all the parts of their books are great, and sometimes all the parts of their book are not so great. So I ask you to critically think while you're reading our textbook. So let's look at some actual claims. And when we're looking at claims, we're thinking, what does that mean? So here are some claims. We have, the weather is much less good than was predicted. The supermarkets produce products. This supermarket's products are much cheaper than that one's. Fish can feel pain. The number of people surviving old age is increasing at a fast rate. Teachers get longer holidays than anyone else. Singapore is one of the healthiest countries in the world. So these are claims that people can make. Claims can come in the form of predictions, evidence, hypotheses. They can be recommendations or principles. And so we see that with each of these actual claims that people can make. So when we're looking at these claims, the next part of making a claim, a declarative sentence, is asking, well, what does that mean? To be a critical thinker, we have to ask questions. Some of the primary questions we ask are, is it true? Is this claim telling me something significant? Now, one way to qualify if something is significant is if it brings you surprise. Like, whoa, I didn't know that fish can feel pain. Tell me more about that. I want to know if that's true. So that would make that claim significant for me. We might ask, what else do we need to know to respond to this claim? And the goal in asking questions, in being a critical thinker, is getting to the root and finding the possible meanings of the claims, asking lots and lots of questions. So let's practice. So here's this claim. The this supermarket's products are much cheaper than that one's. So we're at a supermarket. We want to ask, is it true? So what do you think if we ask the question, is this claim true?
Well, I guess it depends on what two stores we're talking about.
Yes, so you have to go back a little bit and say, well, what does that mean exactly? What are the stores that we're speaking of? Right? So let's assume that it is true. Is this significant? Is this a significant claim to us?
For me, yes.
How so?
I'm a mom. I cook a lot, and wherever it is fresh and more affordable, I'm definitely for that.
Yes, so that would be significant. It might cause you to investigate it more and change where you're shopping because it's cheaper there. Is there anything else we might want to know? What other questions would we ask about this claim?
Is it cheaper all the time, or is it like certain
Yes,
days that maybe they have deals where it's cheaper?
very good. What does cheaper even mean? Do we have to have coupons? Do we need to have a Fry's card to be able to shop there, or whatever digital card you have to use in the part of the country you are? Good job. So anytime someone makes a declarative statement, remember, we're looking at beliefs, if it's true or if it's false. So if those are claims, what is an argument? Earlier, I said that when we take critical thinking courses, usually we launch in with argument, but we took a step back and we looked at claims first. So what is an argument? When claims provide support for another claim, that becomes an argument. So such and such means such. So such and such is the case, brings us to this conclusion. When we make an argument, we're justifying a belief or a conclusion with reasons, or we're using reasons claims to justify a belief. So let me give you an example. So let's practice. So we've got these two lovely ladies here. We have Kendall and Brooke. Kendall has the long, lighter hair, and Brooke has darker hair. And Kendall says, Sean will not be there tonight. So she's making a claim. So when someone makes a claim, we're being asked to believe or accept that the claim is true. So being the awesome critical thinker that Brooke is, she says, why do you think that Sean won't be there? So let's find out. So Kendall's claim is that Sean will not be there tonight. What are the other inherent claims that Kendall might, that Kendall might offer to Brooke to say why he won't be there? Well, she could say, reason one, Sean thinks he's better than everyone else, and I just really can't stand him. Reason two, Sean is working 2 jobs to buy a good townhome, and the last 2 times we went out to dinner, he didn't go. Reason 3, Sean is working the night shift for the next week and must be at work by 5 p.m. We're meeting at 6 p.m. So Kendall has offered 3 reasons. Remember, I've said there's good reasons and there's bad reasons. So let's see if we can dive a little bit more deeply into this. Remember, a good claim has a high probability of truth, and a bad claim has a low probability of truth. So when we look at these reasons, critical thinkers make sure we have good reasons for our beliefs. So when we look at these 3 reasons, reason 1, Sean thinks he's better than everybody else and I can't stand him. Is that a good reason for drawing the conclusion that he won't be there tonight? No, it's not. Why not?
That sounds like really opinionated. It doesn't sound like there's much truth in it. unless it's coming from him.
Very good. That's true. So this is Kendall's opinion of Sean. It has no bearing on whether or not Sean will actually show up. What about Sean working 2 jobs and the last time we went out to dinner, he didn't go? Is that a good reason or a bad reason?
Bad?
Yes, tell me why it's bad.
Because she's assuming because he didn't go last time, that most likely he won't go this time.
Yes. Can anyone see where that could be a good reason?
Because he's working 2 jobs.
Because he's working 2 jobs. So this is kind of like a middle of the road reason. This is a reason that we would use to make an inductive conclusion about Sean. And I'm going to post a mini lesson. I already mentioned I have a mini lesson coming out January 4th that clarifies the difference between inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. But in this case, Kendall is making a general assumption. So we don't know for sure. It's not guaranteed to be true. It's possible. He might not come, but he could come as well. Now, reason number 3, Sean is working the night shift for the next week and must be at work by 5 p.m. We're meeting at 6 p.m. Is that a good reason or a bad reason?
Good reason.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Because he can't be in 2 places at one time. It's physically impossible. He cannot be at work and be at the dinner party at the same time. So when we are looking at an argument has 2 parts. We have a premise, which is a claim that provides support for the conclusion. And we have the conclusion, which is what we're trying to prove. So you can have 1 premise, 2 premise, 3 premises, and infinity. You can have multiple premises to draw one conclusion. So let's take a look at these premises. So premise number 1 is that Sean is working 2 jobs to buy a townhome. And the last 2 times we went out to go to dinner, he didn't go. So that's premise 1. Premise 2 is Sean is working the night shift for the next week and must be at work by 5. We are meeting at 6 p.m. So remember how I said a claim says, or an argument says, such and such is the case. So if we add premise 1 to premise 2, we get the conclusion that Sean won't be able to be at the dinner. So if we put that in a paragraph, we would say, Sean's working 2 jobs to buy a townhome, and the last 2 times we went out to dinner, he didn't go. He's also working the night shift. Ha, I put shirt. He's not working the night shirt. He's working the night shift. He's probably going to wear his night shirt, which is his uniform. I digress. So he doesn't have the time off. Therefore, he won't be at the dinner party. So that's what that whole argument ends up looking like. We can see premise 1, premise 2, and the therefore. So we've engaged in critical thinking to understand Kendall's claims. So another argument, we have premise 1, Sean thinks he's better than everyone else. And I really can't stand him. Therefore, Sean won't be at the dinner. So this is an argument. It's a bad argument. It doesn't really work, but it is another argument that Kendall is making. Now, what if we had just a little more information? Remember, good arguments support their conclusions and bad arguments do not support their conclusions. So let's get some more information. 1, he thinks he's better. 2, I can't stand him. Oh yeah, and number 3, I helped create the guest list and I didn't invite him. So of course, he's not coming. So do you see how we have to keep asking questions? Well, what do you mean? Well, how did this come to happen? And we just keep asking questions to get to the root and the meaning to drive at the conclusion. So the key takeaways for today as you begin this class is that critical thinking is evaluating arguments to determine if they're good or bad. Remember, true or false. In this class, we are not looking at ethics. We aren't looking at morals or attitudes or values. We're looking at beliefs, which are termed in words of true and false. Critical thinking is an exercise of problem solving. So what I love about this course is that I'm not telling you what to think about anything. I'm teaching you how to think in a way that you've maybe never thought before, so that you can go out into the workplace and you can go out into your personal lives and you can think more deeply about things and make better decisions. And the reality is, we critically think every single day, especially in this world that we're living in right now, where things are changing so fast. We have access to information so fast that critical thinking gives us an opportunity to either A, quick thinkly and think well, or to, whoa, wait a second, I gotta ask some questions here, and take the time to ask the questions that you need to ask to make good conclusions. So where do we go from here? What do we do? Well, we keep building. So this is the very first introduction to critical thinking. And over the next several weeks, we are going to just keep moving up that ladder. Anyone going to see Spider-Man?
No, but my son just seen it. He really liked it.
Oh, good. We're going to go see it tomorrow. But this picture, I just think of scaling that wall. I mean, I am just going to go up at turbo speed. I'm going to climb every level and I'm going to figure out how to become a better critical thinker. And in the process of building, we're practicing. So you get to take a deep dive for the next 8-ish weeks and do this better. So do you have any questions about any of this? It's kind of like drinking from a fire hydrant. I have spit a ton of information at you. So do you have any questions right now?
I don't know if you already put it on the announcements, but is it better for you to for us to reach out to you via email or text?
Text is probably the fastest. But
Text?
yeah, text.
Text, okay.
Text
Okay.
is the fastest way. But I mean, if you need something, feel free to hit me at all angles. Text, Canvas,
Okay.
and the university email.
Okay.
But, and I don't keep regular office hours because I'm generally available. So if you need
Okay.
something, just let me know. If you want me to look over a paper or see an answer before you actually submit it, I'm happy to do that. And again, resubmit for mastery. I can't stress that enough. It's
Okay.
worth it. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience with me. And I hope you have a wonderful holiday.
You too.
Thank you too, Kim.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.